Hello there, and Godot 4.4 Dev 7 has just been released. And well, with it we have some interesting new things, being for example the built-in or native implementation of Jolt physics. And for example, another pretty interesting thing is that now we have documentation tooltips right in the script editor inside of Godot. So well, we are going to be checking the main stuff of this update in this video. First of all, this is the final development build of the year. This is something that, well, it is understandable. So well, until 2025, we are not going to be having new Godot versions. I'm going to be leaving a link to the post so you can actually read like all the new things here. I am just going to be highlighting the ones I think that are the main ones. Basically, the first one being the Jolt physics module. Basically, the Jolt physics is, well, indeed a physics engine that has many advantages, okay, and is pretty more stable than Godot physics, and for example has been used in Horizon Forbidden West, a pretty outstanding game. So it does provide some advantages that we have already seen in the channel, such as more stable physics, much better performance, etc. So something that was a lot of requests is that Jolt would be the default physics engine, but right now, okay, at least in this version, it is not the default 3D physics engine because right now it is considered experimental. So there are still some things that may not work correctly, some integrations may not be as polished as wished. So for example, some features of Godot physics that basically are lacking right now, so well, they can't replace it fully. But what they have done is now when you install Godot from Godot 4.4 Dev 7 and beyond, you will have the option to basically use the Jolt physics engine without having to install it. We are going to be seeing this in the editor in a second. And well, besides these things that of course are quite interesting, I believe that the next pretty interesting thing, at least for the general user, is the documentation tooltips. So when you basically put your mouse cursor on top of some method, a variable, etc. that is explained in the Godot documentation, then you will have like a lot of information about it directly in the script editor. So you will no longer have to go to the Godot documentation online, or to open up the Godot offline documentation, or to open it up directly in the Godot editor. So it really saves up some time. And also I just want to show briefly, for example, shadow mask for line maps. Well, you can see here a little bit, updated tool chains for official builds, and well, as usual, we have much more new stuff that you can check. But well, I thought that those two were the most important ones, at least for the general user. Now, I am here in 4.4 Dev 7, and I want to show you something that actually is not explained like over here. Because when you create a new project, now you get this option edit now. And I actually wanted to see if there was like some explanation here, but if I want to look for edit, basically if there was some kind of edit now button or something like that, but as you can see, if I look to it, it doesn't seem that there is any kind of like official information of this button, maybe because it's not something like super big, but well, I wanted to show you basically what it does. And what basically this is going to allow you to do is that when you create a new project, I will create here new game project, for example, I will create it over here, and I will disable edit now. This is by default is turned on. So if I disable it, I just create the project, but I don't enter it, I don't edit it. But if you just leave the default option that is edit now, I'm going to select the corresponding folder. I will put here 4.4 Dev 7 recording, for example. And when I press edit now and I press create, it will create the project and edit it or enter it in order to be able to actually do any change that we may want to do. So let's firstly see this thing of Jolt. If you now go in 4.4 Dev 7 and beyond, project settings, and now you scroll down a little bit until physics 3D. First of all, you see here Jolt physics 3D. So as with the plugin, you can modify some settings. And in 3D, you have once again physics engine. This is set to the default one. But now you have right here Jolt physics. So you don't have anymore to go to the asset library, import it, etc. Probably, if you ask me, and judging by what they have done, what has been posted in the Godot community, in the GitHub, etc., that I have seen, they are probably going to be using this Jolt physics as the default one, but they still have to do the migration. Okay, so when you press save and restart, let's give it a second, and when we come back, if we go to project settings, physics 3D, we now see Jolt physics. Okay, so now we should be using Jolt for our 3D projects. Okay, now for the documentation tooltip, you are going to be able to see this like in every single method, I believe. But for example, let's try this with the character body 2D. That was the example over there in the post. And let me just assign here a script, and I will create it with the basic movement template so we have some code. So for example, if is on floor, now we get this tooltip over here, returns true if the body collided with the floor on the last call of move and slide, etc. X action just pressed. And I actually want to show you how this worked, at least in the latest stable version, okay, in 4.3. So I will once again create here a brand new project quite quickly, because I just wanted to do the comparison between how this actually was displayed in 4.3 and how it is displayed in this 4.4 dev 7. So let's quite quickly create here this character body, attach a script with basic movement template. And now, for example, if I hover in is on floor, I get literally nothing. What you could do is press down Control and then click, and then you get here this exact same information, but well, you have to do an extra step. Now this exact same information is displayed right over here. As you can see, are used to determine whether a surface is floor or not. Are used to determine whether a surface is floor or not. So it's this exact same extract that we are seeing. So well, it is of course quite useful, for example, and if you have some built-in variables, for example, in this case, velocity is a property of a character body 2D, you also get the explanation. And in 4.3, if you hold down Control, you could press here velocity and you will get this exact same explanation. But once again, this makes the process much faster. And just something also talking about 3D that maybe you haven't seen is that in 4.4 Dev 6 something quite interesting was implemented. So I will just super quickly add a sun and add the environment. And now when you are adding a camera, you get this preview over here. So you no longer will really use a lot this preview over here, but for example, I don't know, if I move this camera, let's actually add an object. So let me add a mesh or something that we can actually see. So let me add the cube or whatever. The sphere is the same, and I will move this like this. As you can see, I do get the preview, so this is super useful for when you need to actually play around a little bit with cameras or whatever. So well, maybe you didn't know this about 4.4 Dev 6, but well, I just wanted to mention this because it is quite useful. So well, this is all for this video. If you really enjoyed it, make sure that you subscribe to the channel.